Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite restaurant curries, a chicken madras, and this is basically just a variation of a basic chicken curry with just a few little tweaks. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with the 2 white onions and we're going to peel them and we're going to chop them, slice them, not super thin, not super thick. And then once we've got to that stage, we're going to put this pan on heat. Now that pan, a very good pan. Anyways, I got 8 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You can go 10 as well if you want. And then we're going to go in with the whole spice. So we've got 3 bay leaves, 4 cardamom pods, 3 whole cloves and 1 cinnamon stick. We're going to put that in there and cook that for 20 to 30 seconds, shimmying the pan just like that. And then at this stage, we're going to put in the onion. My onion fell, man. You're going to put the onion in there and a small pinch of salt because that's going to draw out the moisture from the onions. I'm going to cook this for about 2 to 4 minutes. It's going to start the cooking process. And then at this stage, we're going to go in with 2 garlic and ginger blocks by Taj. I mean, they don't have to be by Taj, but you know what I mean. You can put them in and you're going to cook that for a further 2 to 3 minutes until they dissolve. And then you're going to put the lid on and cook this on low heat for 20 minutes until the onions soften. Then in the meantime, we're going to chop these tomatoes. So I've got 3 small to medium tomatoes. You can use 2 large tomatoes if you wish. I would just like compensating. And we're going to chop them in half. And then we're going to remove the root of the tomatoes, also known as the tomato burial. Once you've done that, you're going to chop up a bunch of coriander. And that's basically all the prep work done. Now at this stage, you're going to remove the lid and give you a bit of a stir. Can you see the onions are soft? And then you're going to put in the tomatoes face down and cook this on low heat for another 10 minutes with the lid on. At this stage, you're going to prod the top of the tomatoes like that. Can you see? And then that's going to allow the skin to loosen from the body. So you're going to undress the tomatoes by removing the skins, and then we're going to move it over to a medium heat, cook it for a bit, and then mash it until you got a smoother consistency, just like that. Now, once you're at this stage, you're going to put in 1 heaped tablespoon of tomato puree and you're going to mix that in. So you're going to keep cooking this until all that tomato rawness kind of wears off. Does that make sense? Now, that's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes. But once you've done that, you're going to add in the spices. So we've got 1.5 teaspoon of turmeric, 1.5 to 3/4 teaspoon of cumin powder, 2.25 teaspoon of coriander powder, and 2 teaspoon of chili powder. You're going to add that all in, and then we're going to go in with 5 to 6 green chilies. Now, you can cut these open like in half if you're not shy. If you like a bit more spice. So you're going to cook that, and it was a bit dry, so I added like a splash of water so you can cook that off. Now this part is very important. You're going to cook this until you can see some oil separation. So you're going to cook this for about 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then you should see the oil separation like on top, and also on the edges you should see this vibrant oil color. Okay, once you've got that, you're going to put in 800 grams to 1 kilogram of chicken thighs and a large pinch of salt. Then you're going to cook this on a medium-high heat for 2 to 3 minutes to get the cooking process started. And then once you've done that, you're going to put the lid on and simmer this on medium heat for 10 minutes. Now, when I say medium heat, I mean the lowest setting on the largest hob. That makes sense? So basically what I've got there. Once you've done that, you're going to remove the lid and you can see some oil separation there. Give it a bit of a mix, and here again you're going to cook this for another 2 to 3 minutes. And if I zoom in, you can see some oil separation there. That was fantastic. So you're going to mix that, and we're going to go in with some water, boiling water. Now I went in with 400 ml of water because I know that I want a thicker masala towards the end. If you want a more runny masala, then add in about 550 ml of water. Now if you did add 550 ml of water but you wanted a thicker masala, then you can always just reduce it down a bit longer towards the end. That's it. So you're going to bring it up to heat, put the lid on and simmer this on low heat for 20 minutes. After you've done that, you should see the oil has come to the top like that. Then you're going to go in with 1 teaspoon of garam masala and a tiny bit more. Stir it through, and then you're going to put the lid back on and simmer this on low heat for a further 8 to 10 minutes. Once you've done that, you can see that the oil has come to the top, and then you're going to move it over to a higher heat. And now at this stage, we're going to increase the heat and start reducing this down until you achieve your desired consistency. So for me, it's like a thicker consistency. Anyways, we got kasuri methi. This is dried fenugreek leaves. Now I like this green herb a lot. It's the only green herb I like so much. But you're going to put in a large pinch of it and stir it through. Now at this stage, I'm going to put on this splatter guard because it splatters and I don't want to burn. Snap, crackle, pop ones. It hurts, man. So I don't want that. Now at this stage, it's basically almost done. So I've removed the splatter guard and we're going to go in with lemon juice from like a large lemon wedge. Now this is going to offset a lot of the heat that's in the dish, so it's going to balance it quite well. And then finally, we're going to go in with chopped coriander. I do love a lot of coriander, but you're going to go in with the coriander. You're going to mix this through, and then I'm going to finally cook it for like another minute or 2 just to get to my desired consistency. And the way I know that I'm at my desired consistency is let me just stop stirring. You can see the little popping that's going on? The thick gravy like consistency. That means that a lot of the water from the dish has reduced. Can you see right there? Popping. That for me is like the perfect thick masala. Now at this stage I'm going to reduce the heat a bit and I'm going to allow the oil to come to the top. It might take a bit longer because it's a thicker masala, but can you see? Oil has come to the top. And then finally I'm going to garnish this entire thing with more fresh coriander so that it looks aesthetically beautiful. And this is the final product. Okay, now that the dish is done, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to make this entire thing perfect. So the first thing I want to talk about is using chicken thighs instead of chicken breast. Do not use chicken breast because it's going to dry the dish out, and also it's not very good for the consistency. But if you did want to use chicken breast, I would recommend that you do chicken thighs and chicken breast, but use a bit more chicken thighs. So if you're going to use like say 800 to a kg of chicken, use about 600 to 700 grams of chicken thighs, and then use 300 to 400, the remainder, chicken breast. That is what I would recommend because I've made a curry before with just chicken breast and it just, yeah, it's not it, man. It's not it. The second point is the masala base. Now, I've mentioned this previously in other videos before, but the consistency is what matters. So in this particular video, I used 2 medium white onions and it should be 2 large tomatoes, but I had 3 small to medium tomatoes because they were a bit small to account for it. That for me works when my tomatoes are like not very ripe and they're not as sweet. So I use more onions to compensate for the sharpness of the tomatoes. Now the other masala base I use is 1 large onion and 3 large tomatoes, but I only do this when the tomatoes are ripe. So if you do have sweeter tomatoes, use the 1 large onion and 3 large tomatoes. That will work perfectly fine. Now the third point is, you might have been wondering, why the hell don't I use like curry powder? You can do if you want. I've got Madras curry powder, let me show you. This curry powder. Now I've got Madras curry powder here. It's actually a very good one by the Supreme brand. Now if you did want to use that, you can use like a teaspoon and a half in there if you want. It's very good. This actually provides a very like curry taste, if that makes sense. Don't use mixed curry powder. That's the wrong curry powder. This is the Madras curry powder, and I actually, even though it says Madras, I use it for a lot of other recipes as well because it's got fenugreek in the base, it's got garlic powder in the base, it's got black pepper in the base. Yeah, it's good. So on top of all the spices that I gave you, if you wanted to add like a teaspoon and a half of that, and when I say teaspoon, and obviously it like heaps a bit, so I use like a teaspoon and a half of that. But in my actual curry cookbook, I do mention that you can use it, it's optional, it does add flavor, I recommend it, it's very nice. And now the fourth and final point I want to make is, and this is almost like getting feedback from people making previous recipes. They're talking about not getting like oil separation and things like that. You really need to make sure that you are cooking the spices off properly. So you need to pay particular attention to the part when I add the chicken to the pan, cook it for 2 minutes, put the lid on, and then simmer that for 10 minutes, and then you remove the lid and the chicken's released all of this water. What you can do at that point is cook it on medium heat for another 5 minutes to 6 minutes, can even take 7-8 minutes, you don't know. It just depends. And by cooking it at that stage, you're going to really allow the oil separation to happen. If you need to reduce the heat, move the pan over, do it on like a low medium heat so it doesn't dry out. Now, if you have done that and there's no oil separation, you might need to add a bit more spices. And if you have done that and you still don't get oil separation, you might need to add a bit more oil. Okay? Anyways, guys, that is the video. If you did like it, let me know in the comment section. Also, like the video and subscribe, man. What the hell?